plenty going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this
Okay,
is why we might have to pick up a piece again, and like a tomorrow evening again or something.
okay,
But yeah, we're gonna get on.
okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're the guy here. As you're gonna notice, this guy is hitting and running. Um, is I know him as Lucky. He's gonna be introducing himself formally. Um, I'm hoping to get the best piece of information. Um, they say James Brown was the hardest working man in show business. This guy is the busiest guy in right now in the workplace. So if you want to introduce yourself and give me a little background.
Yeah, not a lot to say. Most people know me as Lucky. Formal name is Xavier Booth. Um, fortunate to migrate to this country with my family back in 1972. Um, did some schooling here, went on to become a government worker in recreation with the city of Toronto. Avid footballer, played in my young days with a club called Cabbagetown to later become more community connected and play through West Indies United and a couple of other clubs like Westside in the street ball in at Flamingo there for the longest time. Grew up watching my brothers play in Contrast Cup and such. Um, but yeah, I've always just been this guy that's interested in people and watching people develop. And as I grew older, grew stronger about my roots in enhancing the Black community. So, and here I am. I work in the core of the downtown city of Toronto. I manage 3 facilities for the city of Toronto currently. One up in St. Jamestown, one in Regent Park, and one in Moss Park. So the 3 toughest neighborhoods in the city. That is really essentially me. I've played the game at a fairly high level. I've coached the game at a fairly high level, and I've refereed the game at a fairly high level. So
So ladies
if
and gentlemen, you see what I'm saying about the hit and run. So yeah, we package that first, you know. So I'm gonna unpackage it for you. Don't worry, you can rely on me. Um, let's deal with seeing that you're on the run. Flemington Park. You mentioned West Side, but if I remember correctly, I think I saw you with Genesis.
yeah,
Uh,
Genesis more, yeah. You have a good,
yeah.
have good memory. You have a good memory.
Were you the organizer of Genesis or?
So no, Genesis was organized by a gentleman named Richie, who played originally with a team with a squad called Psalms 11, and Genesis was a break off of Psalms 11. And Richie was a guy who was, all of us knew him as a very gifted footballer. My brothers were quite connected, and when the spin-off from Psalms 11 happened, Richie started the Genesis, keeping it biblical, and as a young man, I followed in the footsteps of my brothers. So this is
Yeah.
it.
I also heard your name calling with some name, some teams down in the West End. I don't know if it's Blacktivity or somewhere down there. Um,
So so my football traveled quite a bit, Midge. And lots of people claimed ownership of Lucky's football when he was younger in different ways. But my journey in the West wasn't so black centered. I am aware and acquainted with a number of the black teams that played out of the West, right? Some of them from the Mississauga side, like Lions from back in the time. But mostly my journey in the West, I was playing for an Italian club called Delia.
that's what I heard.
That's my yeah, that's my Western journey in football. I played for those Italian guys called Delia Soccer Club.
Well, good. Now that we know that he played for Delia, which is a different flavor than the roots we looking for here. Did you ever play in the Contrast Cup?
So no, I wasn't fortunate enough to play in the Contrast Cup, but I was fortunate enough to watch my brothers play in the Contrast Cup. They're a little older than me,
Yeah,
and so when Contrast finished, Street Guys League started. Right, that was that's what followed
yeah,
Contrast, as I
yeah,
recall. Right,
yeah.
so I definitely played Street Guys right away. But wasn't old enough to play in Contrast. But I watched Contrast right up until they played on the newly cultivated field in the back of U of T there at the side off of Harvard. I don't know how many people would remember all of that, but as a kid, I was fortunate enough to get tagged along and watch all of them kind of games.
Irie tournament.
At Irie tournaments, man, I can go back from Irie tournaments from when we were at Brockton Stadium. I don't know how many people are going to remember all of that, but
Yeah.
those were some of the best days of Irie tournaments, right? Teams
Yes.
from Washington, teams from all over US. Um, as a young boy, I was very fortunate to participate in the Irie tournament. I played Irie for a number of different teams, again, that were iterations from Psalms 11. My last and most memorable time playing the Irie tournament, I played for a team called Santos. And that was a team run by Billy Jack. And as you know, Billy Jack goes back to Psalms 11. So, yeah, long travels.
Oh, okay. So now
Yeah.
we do the Harry tournament, the contrast. Did you ever you play TND? If you say Delia, right?
Yeah, I played TND. I played
All
TND
right.
for sure.
And I saw you in that picture there that I forwarded to you with the West Side. That was the winning season that West Side had finally in the Toronto Caribbean League, which is the Flamingo League. We call it the Flamingo
Hmm.
League now. How was that finally getting over the hump, and how long you were with West Side?
Well, so West Side again is an iteration that kind of fell out. A lot of us that got together at West Indies United, the younger crew, they used to call us the smoke free crew because none of us smoked, and we were the guys that were committed to training and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so we took this chance and opportunity to merge with the old guys from West Side, um, and moved forward into the street guys there at West Side, as West Side. And I gotta tell you, man, that's some of the best football I ever played
Well, that's what I was
or,
now going to ask you.
or,
When
or
seeing that you play
participated
with,
in.
seeing that you play with the Italian team, you had the contrast and the Irie tournament. How would you say that type of and the T and D? How would you compare all of them when you're comparing it to the Flamingo League?
There's nothing like playing in the Caribbean League, man, that we played in at Flemo. This was the joy. I think um, us that understood it look forward to the Sunday football. So no matter what else you were doing throughout the week, you did it hoping for the Sunday football, you know? And I know a number of us that escape our club games to go play that Flemington game. Um, and a lot of us wouldn't talk about it openly, but this is the real.
Yeah, that's why I'm
This
laughing.
was, yeah, this was home. This was home. You saw everybody. You saw everybody from every part of the West Indian continent.
Mm.
All the footballers, the international ballers, the local ballers, the guys that could only dribble, the guys that could only, the guys that only had a certain one set of skill. But mostly, it was family. So what was happening on the field was happening on the field, but around the field was a bigger, better place of family. If you wanted to find anybody in the community, this was the place. So I remember talking about this as the vibe. This was always the vibe.
All right.
You
So here from ladies and gentlemen, if you're local here in Toronto and you have any program you want to put your kids in, this is Lucky here. He does specifically what your program actually does.
So currently, I work for the city of Toronto, right?
Mm.
And it's in recreation, so it has a vast range of programs. I'm gonna get up in a minute and walk outside because I want you to see where I am. I'm in the middle of Regent Park, the newly developed Regent Park, and they've just put up a brand new athletic facility here. And since I could never find the time to do this thing with you, and I promised that I would. I've stopped here where I'm working as I just left my office. So I'm gonna walk out of the car
Yeah.
and show people behind me um, the new athletic grounds that's been cultivated down here in a community where, for the longest time, opportunities were limited. We learned to kick a football in the tightest spot from down in these communities. And now here we have, if you can see behind me, I don't know if you can yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a brand new big old athletic field here now in the middle of Regent Park.
Is that
Um,
right? I don't even know
yeah.
about that.
So yeah, man. So this is a brand new turf field. It's 3 years old, and the city, MLSC, and Toronto Community Housing had together to make this opportunity real for young people in the neighborhood here.
What's the
And
intersection
this
there?
is
Where is
so,
that? What's
so
the
I'm right on Shooter Street, just a little bit west of River and east of Parliament.
Okay.
right? And so this is one of the opportunities that I have now is that I am able to somewhat manage this field and the opportunities on this field for this community and the city broadly. So,
Okay, and
you
this is just one of your projects, right? Because I
this is
remember,
just one piece,
yeah.
yes.
So you
Yeah,
do
so
indoor programs too, right?
yeah, we do indoor programs from basketball to volleyball to badminton to, the full range, right?
Yeah.
Because all three facilities have gymnasiums in them and they have programming rooms in them. And, we have a rooftop garden in one of them. So it's a broad range of reaching families and people.
So ladies and gentlemen, you see this guy, he's a busy guy, but we couldn't go this program without Lucky Boothe. I mean, and Lucky didn't tell the people where you're originally from, They
Well,
might have detected it, but this is an international thing, so
well, the truth of the matter is, family born in Jamaica, migrated here, but since I've been here in Toronto, right, I really got to say that the beauty of me is that my brothers taught me early that I'm really a West Indian. So I'm probably one of the few guys you're going to find that's crossed all paths, you know what I mean?
yeah,
The Irie guys know me well from that end, right?
yeah,
There was a time when Barbados as a club was slipping, right? And I jumped and I became that guy at Barbados for a while to try to keep the club going, keep it alive, reinvigorate it.
yeah,
So born a Jamaican, but truly a West Indian.
yeah. I could vouch for that, 110%. So, based on everything else you're doing, did you have any touch with the Malvern League?
Yeah, yeah. There's another really good example. So as I stopped playing and started to referee a bit more, um, Malvern was one of those leagues that I saw as the continuation of Flamingo, basically. The upsurge, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's different movements of different people trying to lead and take it on. And I went there for a while, and I said to them, "Look, I'll be more than happy to assist by bringing in caliber officials, because this football that we play is so dynamic, so intense. If you don't have the right people managing it and handling it, people think of it as reckless, but it's because the football is so good.
Yeah.
It requires a certain kind of level of officiating to maintain the football and the level of it. So I got involved with Malvern for about 3 years, organizing the referees and trying to maintain and build that structure.
So basically, I also think you're the coordinator, ladies and gentlemen. He's also a major referee coordinator for different regions. So what are the regions you're controlling?
Yeah,
Before we
well,
get back to that.
yeah. Currently, I'm in Durham. So as much as I'm a local Toronto guy, currently I'm the DRC out in Durham, right? Um, my refereeing history kind of landed me to do some development work out on that side. The Ontario soccer guy there reached out to me, asked me if I could give a handout in that quadrant, and I'm out there now doing that. Um, I've been an avid developer in Scarborough for a long time for officials,
Mhm.
ongoing. So yeah, again, I reach the spots where most people won't reach because Midge, I grew up in football where football was a passion and a way of life, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of what I've done in football has not been about monetary gains. It's been about the love of the game and the building of community,
Yeah.
because as you know and I know, a lot of our young people, um, this is where they find their way, you
Correct.
know.
Yeah.
This is where they find their way. And if the right people aren't there at the right time, then the way finding is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Well,
So it's good.
this might be sound like a easy question to some, but for this gentleman it might be difficult. Where do you find time for yourself? You do have a family, right?
Yeah, I do.
How do you
Yeah,
find time for yourself?
I do. I do. I have 4 children, and interestingly enough, 2 boys, 2 girls, and the two that played in my family were the 2 girls.
Oh boy, that's
which,
the future,
which
anyways.
for sure, it led me to coaching women's football, right? Which was a whole different kind of chic about me.
You
I
coaching too? Are you
I
coaching too?
not anymore, but
Oh,
I coached for 6 years women's football, and I at the college level, at the varsity level, I coached a women's program. And at the club level, I coached a women's program here in Ontario, which I was fortunate enough to go to the national championships twice with. We won the Ontario
which team
provincial
is that?
championship. It was called Rexdale Elites. So
Okay.
again, this is in the heart of Rexdale. So yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to travel twice with that team to the national championship. So in women's football. Um, on the other side of it, in the men's game, I've been to the national championships as a referee. So
Mhm. Okay. You
it's
did?
just that kind of range.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
But
So
seeing that you're multitasking, what is your real desire? What is the ideal scenario for you?
yeah, yeah. So this is a very good question, Midge. This is a very, very good question.
Yeah.
Um, my my daughters lately have been pushing at me to say, Dad, where's the self-define in all of this, right? Where is the self-define? And I really feel like life can't be just about you. When you've grown up in a team environment your whole time, and
Yes.
you buy into this concept that life is beyond you, it's about many others, right? And so, the question about where do I find time for me, most of my time for me is embedded in what I do with other people. This is where I get my joy, my pleasure. This is where I find the greatest points of enhancement about my own life.
Hmm.
Where oftentimes we're here and we take for granted just how much we have and how gifted we are, right? To have been able to just forge a friendship or to watch another person come through a hardship that you've never had to face yourself.
Hmm.
But being able to assist them through that and realize a different way, this is the greatest pleasure really for me. You know, I give of myself for others as much as I can. My door is always open. My phone is always ringing. As you know, it's very hard to have a conversation with me without some form of interruption. So
Yeah.
people is my time. People is my time. I grew up
Well,
in that kind of a household. So,
that's why I believe in you, Lucky, because
mm,
that's why I had to have you. The people had to get a piece of you because this is a gentleman who's really giving his time. Um, I would say I'm like a joker to him because I don't know how he does it, but as we hear now, he's enjoying it and he's very organized. So he's not just enjoying it, it looked like he have a knack for what he's doing because as you hear, he's getting result too and positive results. And that's most important too. It's not just giving you time, but you're satisfied with the results you're getting, right?
yeah, yeah. Again, Midge, people see success as winning. I see success as having the opportunity to participate and pulling others along in the participation, because nothing beats being in the right place of participation.
Yeah.
Um, this is the key to life. Sundays I still go when we're non-pandemic every Sunday. I still find myself sitting at the hill on Thompson Park, trying to give to my community the best that I can, by aligning some young referees and keeping things going.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't tell you the number of calls that I get from people. Jeff Hackett, who most people will know in football here, just called me the other day because he's gonna have a little thing in May, and he was worried about securing referees and how that's gonna happen and the dollar point. And the
Yeah.
first thing I said to Jeff was, Jeff, it's not about the dollar. You're a man like myself. You're a black man in a city where you've got to make your way. This is what you do. Figure out what you can afford, and I will bring you the referees. This is kind of how we work for our own people to ensure that we keep building.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know.
why you had to be a Flamingo guy because you've been there a lot. Yeah, this you sound like a Flamingo roots guy, because
Well,
it's about participation.
you know this, Midge. You know this.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
you had guys like Roy behind, guys like yourself with players. I
yeah,
don't know how many people really know all of that history, but that was the motivation to see people like yourself and the organizational piece that you people brought from, your mainstream club to the Sunday situation is what inspired guys like myself and Shane and others and Dexter and others to get together with Stone and do what we did, right? Because
yeah,
it's a it's that level of representation and again that level of participation. Because
Yeah, and I saw that in West Side. No lie, I saw that in West Side.
you know,
That was a good group, and that's a group that stayed together tight.
yeah, you know, and that group has it's produced some good finishers at the tail end. You know, Dexter's Gilmore is still a continued coach. Stones is still involved with youth clubs all across. You know,
Yeah,
my little friend Shane was involved with the Grenada FIFA situation until he's come back here now to kind of take care of his mumsy.
yeah,
So yeah, some good quality people that did some good quality things. You know.
yeah. Well, seeing that you're busy, ladies, and his runway is one of the few times, and no apologies. We got to get him how we can get him and when we can get him. So, Lucky, I want to thank you for fitting me in and giving me the time, and hope everything work out for the situation you're in, and stay rootsy, man.
Well, you know, Midge, I don't know if enough people tell you thank you for what you do and what you've done. You know, the whole idea of having a black centered team in what was the CPSL. You know, I don't know if anybody's heard your journey that way. You know, this was midget, right? So, you know, you're a pioneer in your own way. Yeah. So, you know, like I said, lots of people talk about it. You took the walk and walked it, you know? You're one of
Yeah,
the first black coaches to pick up a team in the CPSL and say, let's go forward. Metro Lions, I believe it was called then, right?
yep,
You know what I mean? So yeah, so there's a lot of in here, you know. You've inspired many too yourself, and here you are on the same platform again, making a way for
yeah.
conversations in our own community. So important, you know?
Yeah, I want to show what you guys doing, and although I'm doing the history, I want to show the current. I want to show the current so we can look at some future, and that's why
Yeah,
you were important, Lucky. You're
yeah.
important for this project, so people would know what's going on, and there's a future from the work you're doing. You just show the feel and stuff, and that's what I like. I wouldn't expect the feel thing, but thanks, thanks, because that's progress. You're showing progress, and ladies and gentlemen, although he's showing the fields, Lucky is working in the toughest neighborhoods here in Toronto. You talk about the women's team in Rexdale, you know, these guys go in the roughest, Jane and Finch, Marvin, you know, you name it, and he goes there. And he gets the same result, and he has the way, as you can tell, people listen, and he can motivate. So, bro, just keep on doing what you're doing, and although my time I would stay around once I see you guys doing what you're doing.
Midge, last plug I want to plug where I've just gotten involved through Paul Martin, who's Sturgeon Martin's son, another long name in football, right? In a Black Coaches of Canada organization that he's pushing hard. I'm a board member with him right now. So, and in any way that we can get this format out to our community for people to realize that you know, there is a platform now where people can join in an organized way to champion development of coaches and referees and footballers, you know.
What is it called again?
It's called Black Coaches of Canada.
Okay.
So, you know, that, yeah, Paul Martin is the president there and the inspirational guy behind it. And I think a lot of what, I don't want to speak for him, but I think a lot of what drives him is his father's history in football. And it's good to kind of see this kind of continuation too, you know. So look it up. And
Yeah,
everybody else
yeah.
out there, look it up and get plugged in. And
And yeah,
it's a
and
final,
send me the link.
I will. And it's
All
a
right.
finally, it's a good place we can all hang our hats and see that we're doing something together.
All right. So Lucky, thanks for giving me the time, and you drive safe. I guess you reach your destination, and
I'm gonna drive hard
I
and
would stick
fast.
in the world too hard.